Let me get my flowers, okay? Because they look cute. Let me get my flowers up here. Yeah. So our video from yesterday, Dominican woman says she's not black. Um, people were spicy. I haven't really checked the comments, but I'll go through them a little later if I'm bored or something and see how spicy they got in the comments because that issue is a big one, right? So
I
lots of
always know it's a great topic.
like go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I always know it's a great topic when I'll see people leaving comments on my channel that I don't recognize, and I'm like, okay, someone picked up on it, so it's always good, always a good thing.
Woo! It's funny because it's like although there are things like inflation, starvation, immigration that we're going to cover tonight, generational wealth, health, people need to work out, eat right. For some reason, who identifies as black is very, very important. It seems to be a priority, but here we are. So tonight we're going to talk about immigration. It's getting very, very froggy in New York City, right, as well as other cities. So I know you guys did a little bit of research, which is great. And we have some videos. I was a little taken aback by the videos just because it seems like something that you would see in a movie. Like it doesn't seem real. And I'm a very black and white person. So I always think, okay, someone is doing this to get that, right? I think that's how people live. Someone is doing this to get that, whether it's good or bad, you're doing something to get a result, right? And I'm just a little, it's mind boggling. I'm wondering what, our government, what result are they trying to get by housing all these migrants in schools and hotels or whatever? Like what's the end result? What is the reason? What's the cause? Because we all know that America is a business. Some people will disagree. They'll be like, no, it's the eagle, it's the stars and the stripes, and it's the United States of America. I still say it's a business. And this seems like a very strange business move to me. It seems very, very strange. So I'm like, there must be something that there's a goal they have that I don't comprehend, right? But I do know that the immediate knee jerk reaction to these images that I'm going to show you is always panic, right? So the have nots, dig this, the have nots, okay, want to fight the have less. Okay, recognize I didn't say the haves. Okay, the have nots want to fight with the have less because the have nots think that they're better than the have less. But middle class, does that even exist anymore? So the have nots are panicking and they want to fight with the have less when they should be fighting. What way do I say? Up. Sure enough, right up, you fight that way. You go sideways. And who's sideways? People that have less than you. You always fight sideways, which is interesting. It's also cowardice, in my opinion, but we're going to dissect tonight. What do you think before I start playing the videos?
I just say one thing real quick. It's just so funny how we revert to so-called white behavior the moment we get the opportunity. You know what I mean? Because we often delegate the idea of looking down on others and being racist and being discriminatory. Oh, that's white behavior. No, it is not. You know what I mean? I had to explain to the other day to a black person. However the fuck you want to classify that, I don't even fucking know right now. But for all extents and purposes of the argument right now in the story, I was discussing something to a black person. I was discussing racism, and I said, okay, I understand what you're saying in regards to the institution of racism. You cannot enforce your prejudice on others. And the person went ahead and said, no, black people cannot be prejudiced either. And I'm like, excuse me? what do you mean? How does that work? It was like, well, you have to understand, you know, I mean, that anything that we learned from them. I'm like, you people are fucking despicable. You people are fucking sad. Are you serious? Did they literally teach you how to shit at this point? Did they do you like, what do you have that's yours? But anyway, go ahead.
So, I wanted to do some research on this because I'm living here, and I will say this. I've been in city. I lived in Washington, D.C., for God's sake. So I've seen immigration and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But like with this, it was like, okay, you know, some immigrants coming through, you know, they need a place to be, no big deal. But then after a while, it started to become, literally what Jen said is where I ended up going, like, hold the fuck up. Like, there's something deeper going on here, because I don't know what the end goal to this is. Like, this is clearly not sustainable, what we're doing here. Because living here, you're seeing the droves of buses coming in daily. You're seeing the lines wrapped around the block, no matter what borough you go to. You walk past any welfare office, you see lines wrapped around the block. You go past any shelter, you see lines wrapped around the block. You're seeing a lot of confusion. You're feeling a lot of the energy. And I said to Jen earlier, I don't know what the energy is. I don't know if this just because there's a lot of people who are out of their element, who are away from their home, who are in a new environment. Everybody's in a fucked up position, really, right? So I made a call to some people that's close to the situation that in the city, and they explained some things to me that we'll get into. And one of the questions I asked, what was the end goal? And we'll get to that later as well. But basically what I got from them is that the mayor's hands are tied, because when the mayor walked into New York City mayor's office, there were already laws put into place. Okay. One of those laws is that New York is a right to shelter city, meaning any of you can come to New York tomorrow and say, I'm homeless, and they have to house you legally. The mayor cannot legally turn any of you away or any of us away. Because of that, it's putting a strain on everything else, the welfare system, the everything. So basically the mayor, but the mayor originally agreed to this because New York is a city within a state. So the state, which because people think that the capital of New York is New York City. No, it's Albany. So Albany was supposed to pay for this. Albany has not given their portion of the bill money. So therefore, the mayor has had to rob Peter to pay Paul from different places. One of the places is education. One of the places is the police department, and the other is welfare. And so that's what's going on right now.
It's fucked up, man. He basically said you motherfuckers wasn't gonna beat shit anyway. So let's just slash education.
Well, I want you to show the video, because listen, I'm fired up. I'm fired up about this because I also, before I came on the show, spoke with Erica, and she had to get a thick skin because there's a lot of rhetoric out there, right? And she had to get a thick skin at work because she'll have people. She said there's some people that love her accent, and there's other people that look her up and down. And not the first question is, "Hey, where you from?" No, that's not it. "Hey, how long have you been in?" No. "Are you an American citizen? Are you legal?" And I get pissed off because this is rhetoric, and this is because it's ignorant people that are being led by people that know what stirs other people up to keep people divided, right? But so I looked up those videos you're talking about. I want you to show them because I got a lot of stuff.
All right, so let's get into that. Lily, thank you, Anthony Jones. Anthony Jones says Joe Biden is a disgrace. No other country would do this to their citizens. I'm glad to see somebody shoot at the target. You know what I mean? Not the immigrants. And I got some videos for you. This is why I'm just want to say,
just have to say, because all this started just 4 years ago. This wasn't something that's been going on for 20
No,
years.
no,
Nice comment.
Right.
no.
Okay. All right. Well, he's in the seat now.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the seat now. So it's funny, Lily, you should say, anybody can go there and say, hey, I'm homeless. They have the right, they have to house you. So I'm going to New York soon. maybe I can save on a hotel. Can I save on a hotel?
Yep, save on a hotel. Just come on through. Tell them you're homeless. They got to put you up in the hotel, and you'll be good.
What doesn't make sense to me is that, can a homeless person, a New York City resident, do that?
Well, what's funny is they won't be able to. Like they can do it, but they won't be able to, because the immigrants, and I was told they are taking precedence, and this is from the. I got to be careful, but yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this just echoes what I constantly keep telling people. All these discussions about immigration, they're just bullshit, man. Look, this is at the core of this. I'm sure this is about cheap labor and
Yes,
that resource, and because there are a number of contracts ahead in terms of construction and so on and so forth, particularly in New York and across America, and they're just not going to pay their citizens what they are going to be asking for. So guess who the fuck they are going to pay? They're going to pay those fucking immigrants. So all those new buildings and all those new infrastructures that honestly could have really done some good in the hands of the American citizens, on off the sweat of their backs, what could have given us jobs and so on. No, they're going to go to the immigrants, because those corporations are looking to save. And the Republicans and the Democrats are not going to do shit, because they don't do shit when it comes to immigration.
That's the only conclusion I've come to, because we, like what Jen stated earlier, this is a corporation. The bottom line will always be profit. It will never, ever be people. So I was like, the only conclusion I can come to is just that, like, it does make sense if you're running a company, that you're going to want people who are going to want less and do more and be more appreciative. Like, that just makes sense, right? Makes perfect monetary sense. It does shit for people, right? But this country has never been about people. And I'm go as far as to say they have gone to the point where they don't even pretend anymore. Like they're done pretending. We got a country to and the thing is, when you look at it, let's keep it a buck. When we look at the American population, they always are saying, and this is the world population, really, it's not just American at this point. The fear is there's not going to be enough people to replace us. But I'm saying, before we even get there, we have to go through the incapable people who will be left. Like, the younger people are not capable of taking over what we've started. So yeah, like, it does make sense to bring in new people. Like, it just does. I don't know.
I think Haran hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's simple. I've always said, listen, you start finding businesses 400,000 a head for people that don't have documents, that aren't here, it'll stop, because they'll stop hiring them. But they don't want to do that, because they want cheap labor, and that is the game. That is the purpose of capitalism, is to get cheap labor, pay less, more profits for the stockholders, more profits for the people up top. So at this point, I can pay some immigrants and not have to pay for their medical. They're going to be cheaper. They're going to, a lot of times, work harder. And so, yeah, they don't want to stop. Now, it's getting a lot of attention now, because as awful as I think it was what Texas and Florida did by busing people to make a point to New York and Chicago and some of these other cities, it kind of did make a point, because now people that, hey, we're a sanctuary city, are saying, hey, federal government, we need to do something. We don't have any funds to house all these people, But again, to sit there and blame, like Jen said, to blame the least powerful people is the wrong thing to do. And when you show this video, it really pisses me off. So.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Really quickly, I see you backstage. If you want to hide behind your avatar, that is fine, but you have to pay the lady. Okay? So either cash at me on the block with Jen. There is a fee for hiding. You got to pay to hide here. I know you guys are used to hiding online. There goes the cash app scrolling at the bottom. You could come up behind the avatar. You don't have to give us your face, but shoot me a cash app or throw a couple dollars into a super chat and I will bring you right up here if you want to stand behind your avatar. If you want to show your face, then you can come up for free because faces are free on the panel. So if you want to show your face, come up for free. If you want to hide behind your avatar, throw a couple chips either in the super chat or the cash app. Second thing, before we continue, ask Advo. Let me address this. I wish I could tap in, but lately I don't feel welcomed by Jen. So let me say this to whoever's watching. Very simply, everybody and anybody's welcome up here, long as what? You don't act the monkey ass fool. And two, you're able to handle the panel. The block is not an easy panel. We debate up here. Okay? And a lot of you have baby shit soft feelings, and that is okay. They just don't do well on the block. Okay? People come up here and they're like, I feel attacked. They go cry in the car. That wasn't fair. I was up there. It's not fair. It's an echo chamber. If you're one of those people that can't hang, then I advise you don't come up. Okay? Safer for you and your feelings and whatever trauma you're feeling that a perfect stranger, Jen, isn't welcoming you. I don't even know you, bro. Why would I not welcome you up here? We're up here 21 minutes and you're already in your feelings. Like, so either you come up here and hang or don't come up here. But as far as welcoming you, I barely remember you. Like, what are you talking about? People come up, people come and go here. This is literally the block. You pull up, you talk your shit, and you leave. And if you can't handle this panel, I don't know how you do in life. Jesus. Lily, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I knew this was going to happen. I knew when we say the word immigrants, people are going to automatically jump to the place that we're just talking about, immigrants that are black looking or melanated. The immigrants that I am talking about with New York that I'm seeing that are everywhere are of every hue. So let's go ahead and dispel that myth right now. Okay, there are immigrants from so many different countries. So this is not color specific that we're discussing.
Videos are very telling of where this is headed. It's what Keith David said. Auntie Tariq is pandering to black women. Pandering. He's bamboozling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he is pandering the black women now. He was dragging them a couple of years ago. He was calling them bed wenches.
He would talk about their wigs, their faces, their features. Yeah, he used to drag black women.
Well, okay. I guess he's trying to hone in on Umar's
and Cynthia G's.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, there's a vacuum over there. Let me go up there. Let me go over there and get that money.
Yeah. Auntie ain't no idiot. Auntie ain't no idiot.
I will give him that. I will give him that. You know where a dollar is.
That's not Elvis. That's Lewis. Let me play these videos real quick and then we'll dissect them. This is so like, yo, this is really, I just, you know, I'm my misanthropy is spilling. I just don't, humans are fucking foul. They're foul. Human beings are foul. They're a virus. Like Agent Smith said, human beings are a virus. Very obnoxious, very, very obnoxious and pompous meat bags. Humans are a fucking virus. Very selfish, very obnoxious. Okay, they're parasites for the most part. Constantly looking to use people. Constantly looking to use people. Who can I use? Who can I find and use? And then it's like, oh, I feel a little better than that person. Let me make sure that person knows that I feel better than them. Just a fucking virus. Human beings are a virus. They're fucking hypocritical, lying ass fucking virus. And don't let me get into the fucking religious of y'all. Don't let me get into the fucking religious of y'all. That's for another show.
You know that's why I stopped calling people queen, because I was like, hold on, I'm literally calling them an oppressor.
Yeah, you know, I ain't never used that shit.
It's like, hey, oppressor.
For real, like queen my ass. Shit, you know me. All right, so let's play this video. I want to play what they're asking, what the city is asking of other citizens first, and then we'll look at the average reaction from a Karen. Now, this white bitch was on.
You already know.
She was on. She was like, nuh-uh.
If you have an extra room or suite in your home, please consider hosting a family. Safe housing and shelter is our most pressing need. Become a sponsor family. You can contact the Brazilian Worker Center for more information on how you can step up if you're willing to have an additional family be part of your family. If you're a local official, a college president, a business owner, or a faith leader with an available building or space in your community, please work with us to offer it as a shelter site. If you're a social service provider, please consider becoming an emergency assistance homeless shelter provider. Our resources are stretched thin there as well. And if you're a hotel or a motel owner, consider opening it up for emergency assistance. If you're a landlord or a property owner, we can use you too and connect you with service providers to help transition families into permanent housing. Everyone has something they can offer. Most importantly, if you have an extra room or suite in your home, please consider hosting a family.
Elon Musk has weighed in as well. He said, this is what happens when you run out of hotel rooms. Soon cities will run out of schools to vacate. Then they will come for your homes. So Elon Musk out there trying to spread a little panic to the people.
How does it feel that you get all the kids out of school tomorrow? How does it feel? Do you feel good? I hope you feel good. I hope you all sleep really well tonight.
Why are you yelling at them?
Because I have a right to. That's why. That's why. Because I'm an agitated mother. That's why.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Taking over my kids' school. All the kids out to sleep here tonight, huh? How long you staying?
What?
How does it feel that you get all the kids out of school?
Oh, this is cuts. This is bed. They're bringing in food. Look. Marty. Why not? Why not? I gotta see where my tax dollars are going. Hold on.
Todos están juntos, van por el mismo lado de la familia. Trate de mantener los nenes en frente de usted para que sepa qué es lo que quiere.
There goes Elon Musk again. Lily, the video that you sent me, I really wanted to show, but it's not coming up on the Mac, unfortunately.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just need to put something out there. New York Karens are built different. Just to let y'all know, they're built.
Oh, cannoli Karen.
Cannoli Karen.
We do not kid school.
Oh yeah, man. How does it feel? I'm going over there, see where my tax dollars.
How long you staying for? Huh? How long you staying there for?
They do this shit.
And you know what's crazy is just a few generations back, people were yelling about all these Italians coming into our country. So It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And first of all, I hate when people say, I want to see where my tax dollars, as if you have a ledger and you're figuring out where each one of your dollars is going in the government. You know, like you have some kind of say in it. You really, you give your taxes, and then we can get into that anyway. But this is what I hate, because she's yelling at people that were bused there. They don't know where the hell they're going. They're told, we're going to move you here. Now, when I first saw it, I said, I didn't know that it was just an overnight, one-day thing. I thought, oh, well, I guess you could be upset if they were out of school for a month or something like that. It's a weather-related event. And if you've ever been someplace where you have weather, that happens all the time. They open up schools, people shelter in the schools. So this is just one day, and you hear people, oh, they're going to be on TikTok and they're going to lose. Really? You're upset because they're moving these people into a safer place because there's a weather system coming through. It's just, and where's this lady? Where's her kids at, man? Shouldn't she be there cooking dinner or something for them instead of protesting these people walking into a school that have been told and bused there? So you're yelling at the wrong people.
Yeah.
Moldy Karen doesn't give a fuck. When she's angered,
Moldy Karen is mad. All right, I got some spaghetti on the stove, but let me tell you, I'm gonna give you a piece of my mind before I go back there. Okay, I told Tony watch the fucking spaghetti, but before I get back there, I gotta fucking give you a piece of my mind, my tax dollars. Okay,
dollars.
Fucking ridiculous. These people, they don't know what's going on. They're hungry. They're cold. They're just the. And listen, I'm not even saying don't be mad, but I'm sorry, cannoli Karen should be at the White House. She should be at the White House. That's where she should be. Because anyone in that position, I don't care what planet you're from, anyone in that position, from any walk of life, any gender, okay? I'm cold, I'm hungry, you're thinking, I gotta get warm, I gotta get food, I need a place to lay my head. That's all you're thinking. That's not gender specific, that's not race specific, that's not ethnicity specific. And then you're walking in, you don't know where you are. You're in a country where you don't speak the language. You're hungry, you're cold, you don't know where your kids are. Maybe your kids are there. And then you got this bitch, hey, you gotta be here for, right? I don't know how you be here for. It's ridiculous.
You know what America is? It's the boss that lays you off without severance pay after 40 fucking years of service and gives you a fucking watch. Honestly, because I see these people. It was yesterday, beating their chest, America, and you Jamaicans are canceled, and and at the end of the day, you're seeing that motherfuckers don't give a fuck. No, you canceled, nigga. You canceled. Because clearly, they're showing you where the buck truly stops, and they're clearly telling you how it's going to run and how it's going to go. But things aren't going to change, honestly. At this point, things are going to change unless the castle is literally being stormed, unless motherfuckers really take a stand, a united stand. And I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
I did ask.
I wants to say something. He's really wants to say something.
Dan did so. Hi, Dan did so.
Unmute yourself, Dan.
You're muted. You're muted,
bro. Got to be ready for prime time, bro.
There we go. I'm unmuted.
All right.
Let me introduce myself. Thank you for having me here. Let me say it in my own way of saying it. Ewa pura vida. That means Ewa is the hello of my people. The word Ditso is the language of one of my tribes in Costa Rica, which means seed. The word means seed. And Ewa means hello. I am a Central American, born and raised all throughout America. For us, America is not just United States. We openly criticize the naming of United States just as America, because that's like saying Morocco is all Africa. It's senseless. And it goes a lot with this subject because all my life, I've been a migrant. I migrated since I was born due to the work of my father. I'm half Tico, half Venezuelan. So I have both heritages. I'm an Afro-Indigenous individual from here. And the first time I arrived to the United States, I was 9 years old as a legal migrant. My father was working for the OEAS, the Organization of American States, which is our United Nations. I lived from 9 to 16, almost 17 years. I learned my English there. I arrived without knowing anything of English, and I learned English in a question of less than a year. That's how long I had to, learn English. I speak, bueno, yo hablo español, I speak English, je parle français un peu, eu falo português. So fundamentally, America is that. America is not just speaking English or speaking Spanish or speaking French or speaking Portuguese or speaking any of the thousands of native languages that have been here for thousands and thousands of years before those other languages. And, when we see this whole thing about the migration, etc., people don't understand or really, I see my sister Boricua up there, and for us in Costa Rica, many of us, we support an independent and free Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico should no longer be part of the United States. They should be their own nation, like many of us have been for 200 years, But saying that, and I'm sorry if I don't know. It just, this subject is really close to my heart because I've migrated not just that once, 9 to 17. I'm 42 years old. I migrated 3 other times, and one of them I was an undocumented individual to the United States. So for me, this subject means a lot. It's been my work for the past 20, well, since I was born, pretty much. It's been my subject, the reality. So for me, migration, especially here in the Western Hemisphere, it goes along with our heritage, with our reality, and the fact that last 200 years, migration has been a vital part of our freedoms, of our restructuring away from the European invaders that were here, But the United States, I don't know, it seems like, sorry to say this word, but it seems like some gringos up there don't have any clue what America stands for, what we built for the past 250 years. Sorry if I...
How do you feel? So how do you feel when you see a video like I just played, that woman yelling at those migrants?
I'm going to try to say it in a way that doesn't, bother the YouTube things. Well, let me say it really quickly in Spanish, and then I'll make a quick translation. Mm-hmm. Ese tipo de mujer es una habladora de paja gringa malnacida que no tiene sentido de dónde coño se está para web. What I was saying is that what I was saying is that dear woman of ours who was screaming on the video is a loudmouth gringa who has no clue where the hell they're standing.
That's about right.
I mean, I can't disagree with anything he said. I mean, he's right. The simple-minded people don't really understand. And so they're yelling at people that have nothing to do with the problem. Because the problem is, first of all, the problem is even outside of the United States. These people are leaving. People don't want to come here if they're not in a desperate situation, whether it's through gangs or poverty. It's not like people wake up. Listen, I've been to Colombia several times. I've thought about moving to Costa Rica. It's it's a beautiful place. And these places are beautiful, much more beautiful than where I live. Unless you live out in California.
Let me tell you,
much more beautiful. So people don't wake up one day and say, "Oh, I want to go to the United States because that's the greatest country in the world." No, that's not how people think. It takes a lot to pick up, move your family, not knowing how you're going to survive. That's desperation. And so when this lady's yelling, like I said, couple of 100 years ago, people would have been hanging her. They used to hang Italians here in New Orleans. They used to lynch them up. So, you know, you really need to think about where you came from and how you were treated as well.
If I may, something that you said, I really, really would like to give this whole thing a more sense. I would like to ask all of you, do you know what is the current population of Latin America?
No.
From Mexico down to Argentina and the Caribbean.
I don't know.
Why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us?
625 million people. We more than double the population of the United States, all divided in 33 different nations, but pretty much all packed up together. If you look from Mexico down to Argentina, all the countries border each other pretty much. And the Caribbean pretty much borders from the northern section all the way to the south. So 625 million people, out of which 250 million people are of Afro descendancy, or a combination of Afro and indigenous, but mainly 250 million people are of that Afro descendancy. Out of that 250 million, about half would be considered either a mixture between Afro and indigenous or indigenous in itself. That being said, if we look at the data of the mobilization of people, particularly and focused uniquely on Western Hemisphere, because I would not like to talk about the Africans or the Chinese or the Asians or any, for the moment being, I want to put that apart just to concentrate on this. But out of the 80% of the mobilization in the last 5 years, I'm going to go back 5 years. In the last 5 years, is 80% are originated from the northern triangle of Central America, which consists of the countries of Guatemala, Salvador, Honduras, and somewhat Nicaragua, and Mexico. Being Mexico the one that contributes most of the migrants mobilization, but then you have these countries. Then comes in sixth country of Latin America, which is Venezuela, which kicks in. However, if you analyze the mobilization of Venezuelans, the exodus of my people, of my other people, is that 75% of those are migrating to other Latin American countries. 20% is mobilizing to United States and Canada, and the remaining 5% is mobilizing towards Spain or European countries. So we see that mobilization happening. But
really quickly, thank you for the super chat. Black Lexicon says she was the least of the obstacles. I do want to pass the mic to Louis Conyer, but Abby did say something interesting. She said, and I know about the lynching of Italians in my family's history. And for that reason, it may be misdirected, but valid. They know that field floods. So she's saying that the cannoli Karen had the right to be yelling, but it was just misdirected. I do want to play these videos because I was able to download them, Lily. But Louis Conyer, what say you?
Hey, what's up, everybody on the panel and people out there listening? I think right now it's going to get much worse. When you have people here, us, that's going through a lot of economic stress, this is when you see this xenophobic mentality come out. When the economy is fine, where we up there eating our cheese and drinking our wine, we don't care about Sanchez mowing our lawn or manicuring it. And I'm a type of person that looks at things deeper, and it's kind of like karma justice. If you look at where the regions where these people are coming from, look at the history of what this country has done to put dictators in their country, to rape them of their resources, to cause those countries to be in that predicament while they will come up here. And I'm an avid reader. I'm going to name 2 books: War's a Racket by General Smedley Butler and Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And
I like that.
Throughout the history, we overthrew a lot of these countries to extract their resources. We kept their countries impoverished and destitute, and they're coming up here. It's like we're paying for the sins of the grandfathers. Although we may had nothing to do with it, we're paying for their sins. I mean, and like I said, where we are, like, everybody's here now, they talking about the economy is going to get worse. And when we as a people feel this, and we see them as the other that's potentially taking our resources, you're going to see this hatred permeate even more in society. And it's kind of sad. And it's the ones that's in power that's using this to manipulate us. But we don't see the big picture. I rest my mic there.
It's great that he just said that, because I was about to mention Confessions of an Economic Hitman and expound on the idea of America doesn't work unless, without the business of war,
right?
And economic hitmen. An economic hitman, for those who the idea might be foreign, their essential function is to keep certain areas of the world dependent, to keep them impoverished, because an impoverished section of the world is a world that you can exploit. As I've said before, when you don't have money, when you don't have power, you can be exploited. In this particular situation that we have here, these people are being exploited, and in the end, those who point their vitriol at them, they're doing it, as many on the panel are saying, they're doing it misguided, in a very misguided manner. But it's easier to point the finger at them and not realize that you're both being used.
Yeah.
You're both being used in the power.
Yeah, but they don't see that when they feel like they have more, right? I mean, it was nothing for her to drive one block over to her kids' school and yell. It would have been more for her to get on a flight and go to DC and meet with people and lobby, and that's a lot more work. Let me just drive one block over because my fucking husband is late again and I'm pissed off, and I'm gonna fucking yell at these people who have nothing to do with this.
You know what's interesting about that? And
one second. To play off again what Louis Kanye was saying, a lot of people don't know this. A fuckload of people lost their jobs and were laid off before the holidays. A mass load of people. You know what I mean? It's not often being discussed. Of course, it's discussed among those who lost their jobs. But again, yes, we are in a desperate state right now. And when people are desperate, they don't think, man. That's the wrong time not to think.
And they already don't think. So now desperation, you add desperation to people that are buffoons. Let me play these videos real quick because I think these videos need to be played. These videos are quite interesting. People are going to eat each other. So here's the mayor of New York.
We're disciplined and we're executing on it. It is my vision to take the next step to this, to go to the faith-based locales, and then move to private residents. There are residents who are suffering right now because of economic challenges. They have spare rooms, they have locales, and if we can find a way to get over the 30-day rule and other rules that government has in its place, we can take that $4.2 billion, 4.3 it may be now, that we potentially would have to spend, and we can put it back in the pockets of everyday New Yorkers, everyday houses of worship, instead of putting it in the pockets of corporations. And some of those corporations come from outside our city.
Did you guys hear that? All right, here's the next video before we speak on that. So that was the New York City's mayor.
Concern is that people are coming in faster than we've normally seen. It's yet to be seen how much that will cost. What I can tell you is that the crisis up to this point has cost $3 billion. And as more people come, the cost continues to go up. The issue for New York is that they're not only dealing with newly arrived migrants, they're dealing with folks that have already been in New York City housing and are now being reticketed. So all of these folks already had free housing here in New York, and then they were given eviction notices, essentially 30 or 60-day notices telling them that they have to leave their shelter. But because this is a sanctuary city, housing is guaranteed. So if they wait in line, they can reapply and then be rehoused. And what you're seeing is this line which wraps around the corner, and it has been this long all day long.
So I want you to take note of two things really quickly. Check out the way they captioned this video at the top. Look at what it says.
Concern is that people are coming in faster than we've normally seen. It's yet to be seen how much that will.
Lined up to receive free taxpayer money. Also, look at the line. What race would you say those people
Concern is that people are coming in faster than we've normally seen. It's yet to be seen how much that will cost. What I can tell you is that the crisis up to this point has cost $3 billion. And as more people come, the cost continues to go up. The issue for New York is that they're not only dealing with newly arrived migrants, they're dealing with folks that have already been in New York City housing and are now being reticketed. So all of these folks already had free housing here in New York, and then they were given eviction notices, essentially 30 or 60-day notices telling them that they have to leave their shelter. But because this is a sanctuary city, housing is guaranteed.
Did those people look Ecuadorian or Mexican to you, or Costa Rican or Colombian or Dominican to date? No.
From all over. I mean, I think that there are 2 points that we have to make, and with the prior conversation and what the brother was saying over here. First, recognize that the impact of policies such as the war on drugs that has been ongoing for the 50 years, the failures of Plan Colombia, Plan Mérida, the impacts that have created throughout all the region of Mexico, Central America, South America, in regards of that, and how the Triangle of the North, including Mexico, has been one of the major impacted that, because that is the nearest route for drugs to arrive into the borders of the United States. It also tells us, yes, the historical of the past, what would say 165 years. I mean, we could talk about from the impacts of the Walker Affair or the filibuster war prior to the Civil War of the United States, and go from there, and particularly in the impacts after the World War II, where United States created the conditions with the Contras, created the conditions of their obsessed fight against communism. But that would also add into the acknowledgement of the failures of the Sandinistas, of the different groups that there had been: Sendero Luminoso, la FARC, el ELN, los Sandinistas, etc. Fidel, and all the experiments that failed, or hand in hand with the influence of the United States and the direct works of the United States, such as Pinochet, Videla, Rios Montt, etc., where then we have this situation that happens up to today. So in reality, this whole concept of illegal aliens or illegal migration, I'm particularly talking of the Western Hemisphere, us, is a clear denotation that United States is fulfilling what Simon Bolivar said back in the day. United States seems to be destined to contaminate the America with misery in name of liberty. And it seems that they're destined by Providence to do so. But that we don't want that.
Okay, so really quickly, because I want to share the mic. We got more people on the panel. Phoenix Rising says, send them back. As a leader, you have to make tough decisions. Also, the amount of migrants is going to double next summer before the election. Black Lexicon, I'd like you to chime in.
Oh, thank you very much, Jen. So, I think outside the box. Mm-hmm. And looking at the big picture, I see people from places that do not have the job structure that we have here in the United States. And we call that job structure civilized, okay? So when they come here, they are not familiar with a job structure. So, and not only that, they may some of them may lack the education that most of the citizens here have, and there's also potentially a language barrier. Now, with all that said, to me, all of this they're going through is trying to prepare them to think like too many Americans have been taught to think. You are to get a job rather than to seek your own success. So all of this free stuff, you know, I know it and I don't mind. I mean, and, you know, to get started, yeah, heck yeah, you know, if we can help them out, it's fine with me, tax dollars or not. But it's training their mindset to become workers rather than producers.
I know you wanted to say something.
I understand what you're saying. First of all, I want to say one thing. All the people talking about, especially that video you showed that said using our tax dollars to blah, blah, blah. Don't hate the player, hate the game. That's what I'm going to say right there.
Okay,
Don't be,
say.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 days in a row, man. Go ahead, man. All right.
But what I'm going to act to Black, is it Black Lexicon? Is that who?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What I want to say to that is, I think that the immigrants that are coming up here they are well built to be able to survive because they've been surviving where they came from. And so I don't think they're ill-equipped at all. There's plenty of people that come here that don't speak English that will find a way because that's what they've been doing their whole lives. I think if it was the reverse and suddenly Americans had to go to another country, we would be the ones that would be struggling. I think they're well equipped. So I understand what you're saying, but I think you give and like to Haran's point earlier, it's kind of funny how none of these people are complaining when you got, 10 people that speak Spanish building your roof so you can get a nice little, $15,000 discount. They don't complain then. All these people down here complain after Hurricane Ida came through, and we're complaining then. They were like, what's the price? Oh, I can get it for that? Okay, yeah, bring it on.
I would like to give a little bit of perspective on what Brother Lexicon stated, because first question would be, if we're talking about specifically Western Hemisphere, I don't want to talk yet about Africa or Asia migrants. I want to focus right now on this Western Hemisphere, America. If we look at the outside of the borders of the United States and not including Canada, just from Mexico down to Argentina and the Caribbean, we will see that countries have made humongous advancements. For example, if Latin American countries were so less educated than the United States or less capable of developing industry, the question would be, why then the United States and Canada signed the NAFTA with us? And it's been over almost 20 years since the United States signed the NAFTA with us, free trade agreements. That being said, for example, my particular section of my country, here I'm going to boast a little bit, but because it's what I live in. Yes, we have our problems, and I can talk about those problems we have. But right now, for example, Costa Rica, one of the major industries is the medical, the medical production of medical tools, electronics. We also have, flowers, coffee, corn. Corn is one of our major heritages, even before the Europeans. Chocolate, etc. And we see that throughout different countries. Yes, you can have the examples of what happened to Venezuela, but I can give you a whole historical reason to why Venezuela ended up to where it's ended up. I can give you a whole historical analysis in regards to what happened to Argentina, and yet Argentina it's there, or the differences between Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, or the realities of Brazil, or the impacts of Mexico and its different industries that they do have, but also the impact of the last 15 years in regards of how the mobilization of the Colombian drug market mobilized to Mexico. And
Well, speaking of Mexico, and survival, like No Saint you were talking about, Absolute 72 says the Mexicans will find a way, not so much the Africans and others. So basically saying the Mexicans will find a way to survive, not so much the Africans and the others. And then Israel Grace did say something interesting. He said, hey, American English is spoken on different continents. Most Americans only speak the one language. What do you think about that as far as them coming and surviving? Also, when people say they're coming here taking our jobs, I mean, whose fault is that? The statement alone to me is asinine.
That because people here think they own. That's another thing. Let's blame, if you're mad, blame the companies that are hiring these people that are taking your jobs. Don't blame the people that are taking your jobs. And not just that, you don't own the jobs. If you own the company, get mad at yourself if you're hiring somebody over yourself. But they have every right to do what they're doing. So they're not taking your jobs. They're taking a job. And a lot of them, I know for Costa Rica, that is the most educated Central American country, period. I mean, that is a well-educated society. I know a little bit about Costa Rica, and not as much as our friend here, but yeah, they act like these people are coming up unequipped. A lot of them are very educated people, and they can. The only thing stopping them is being able to come here and work. So yeah, if they're going to outwork you, that's your fault, not their fault.
Yeah, you misunderstood me a little bit. You actually went down the exact path I was actually trying to say. They come here as producers because their country does not have the kind of job structure we have, and they take the jobs that they are normally producers at, but they don't own that particular company. But if you take other ethnic groups that come here, they are doing exactly what the South Americans want to do. They prefer to run their own businesses and control their own fate. But what's happening is they're being indoctrinated in a way that will hurt that mindset. And just because they do get jobs, they're getting the ones that will improve and keep up with their own skill sets already until they can start their own businesses. So, this whole system thing to me is to indoctrinate them into this. The only way to survive is to get a job and work for someone else. That's what I meant thinking outside.
If I can tell you a little bit of my experience, I worked 15 years in the retail as well as customer service area. I worked for Amazon. I worked for Capital One. I worked for sportsbooks. If that was an interesting part of the business. I took the bets that you couldn't make in the United States. I took them down here in Costa Rica and processed them. And a whole story right there. I worked in pornographic customer service. In pornographic websites. I've also worked. I also worked directly with AT&T, their ADSL section a few years back, and I've also worked. That was 15 years of my experience. But while I was doing that, I was working construction. I was working picking up coffee, cutting sugarcane, picking up corn. The different things one can do to, get a decent income in my different regions of Latin America. But one thing I was always amazed was that, for example, here in Costa Rica, we have, since 75 years ago, a strong labor code that guarantees, for example, at the end of the year, we get an extra salary. That's called the aguinaldo, and that's by law. So we get a 13th salary. Not only that, but we also contribute to the Social Security Fund, which means about 9.7% of our salary which actually has contributed a 7.2%, 7.2% from the employer, a 2.4% from us, from the worker, and the rest from the state, enables then that we have Social Security in this sense. Yes, there are things we need to improve on it, and there are certain problems on the waiting list that we're trying to fix. However, if you ask a Tico, we prefer Social Security any day of the week than the system that you have in the United States, that you get a cold and you're bankrupt because you got a cold, or you got the flu, or you got a stomach ache and you're bankrupt because you got a stomach ache.
Quick. This thinking right here is basically the bedrock. Well, not the bedrock, but one of the reasons for the issue that we're having. When you have a bunch of people in their 20s crying about not making $20 an hour, no skills, and crying for having to work on an 8-hour shift, what do you expect? Absolutely. Because look, listen, if you're out here flipping burgers, I'm just saying, if you're out here flipping burgers and you feel that you should be making $30 an hour, well, the good folks at at corporate are going to think otherwise. And this is the situation that you have here. You're going to have people who are willing to even work for less than you in these particular situations. So, and to be very frank with you, look, I'm just call it what it is. Those jobs are really always meant for a stepping stone. Okay, you know what I mean. Being a fry cook was never meant to be a career move. Well, not in theory. Okay, all right. It wasn't considered a career move.
I'm sure there's a guy retiring right now who's flipped burgers for 50 years, and McDonald's is giving him a pen.
Yes. Mick pen. They're giving him a Mick pen.
Pen.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you see what's happening. The more they're making, the more you get in these serve yourself kiosks to order.
Yes, you know what I mean? Yes. Oh, yes. You motherfuckers about to AI your way out of a motherfucking job. So
no, didn't a McDonald's just open with no employees whatsoever?
Yes. It's just a motherfucker who opened it and a motherfucker who left. They tested it out. I forgot the area of the world that they tested it out, but yes.
What I will tell you in this sense is that, let me put it this way. One thing I learned early in my life, even if my father was actually very well established economically, what I learned is, I asked him once, hey, I want a video game. Well, he said, the lawn needs work. So he put me to work on the lawn of a house. It was an embassy. And here I am, the kid of the ambassador, cleaning the lawn. And when I finished, he said, the neighbor liked what you did. He wants his lawn done. So here I am, not only doing my house's lawn, but the neighbor's house. And then the other neighbor liked it, and it worked. But what my father taught me on that sense is that you do what you have to do in order to obtain that benefit. But the other thing he taught me was the people who are on top are exploiters. They will exploit you. And for that, we need democracy. Because the difference between a king and a businessman is very little. Because once a businessman like Elon Musk or Rockefeller or whatever you want to call them, Elon Musk.
I never heard of Elon Musk. That's interesting. That's what I'm calling from now on. Elon Musk.
Is that they become oppressors. They become people who forget what it is to do that journey to the top. And the very few people who don't forget that get eaten up by the system.
You know, it's funny about Elon, because it's like, he said, and then they're coming for your homes. Like, really, Elon? How many good old fashioned good old-fashioned union workers built your buildings where your business is housed? You know what I mean? So, you know, it's everybody's playing the devil and everyone's playing
He's a bomb thrower.
That's it. That's it. At the end of the day, because look, again, there's just so much. There's so many layers attached to it. I mean, because you got this company guy who comes in here, like, you know, we call him James Oko, and he says a lot of them are drunkards, criminals, and rapists. Well, that means they'll do fine in America, James.
But you know what?
What's in?
You know what's interesting about the whole concept about corporations, industry as such? If we look at from the most basic sense, democracy enables us to have free association with others that have similar interests that we have, right? That essence becomes the basis for a corporation, or for a nonprofit organization, or for a foundation, or for a sociedad anónima, as we call them here. Okay. The advantage of that is that if we have a healthy regulatory system, then we could do what we have done with the tobacco people, or what we have done with pharmaceuticals. If they become exploiters, we can crush them on the weight of their own stupidity. But there's a secondary market that people don't realize that have been ongoing for the past 50 years, which is the drug market. The legal drug market, cocaine, pot, etc., is a secondary market that has created worsening conditions where there's no way for us to come in and say, you're selling bad drugs, you are you are utilizing violence and federalism to then impact vulnerable populations, Afro-descendancy, Black, Indigenous, etc.
Okay, so really quickly, Haran, you just said Beetlejuice, 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 and he appeared. There goes James Oko in the chat. Sarah says something interesting. Thank you for the super chat, Israel Grace, a supporter of On the Block with Jen. Sarah says something interesting. Sarah says, looks like America needs to return to universities and brush up on those technical and IT skills to build, repair, and upgrade the kiosks. But then Chad said, universities are too worried about deciding what a woman is now. So that was his jab, I guess. And I want to revisit what Elon said. He said, this is what happens when you run out of hotel rooms. Soon cities will run out of schools to vacate. Then they will come for your homes. Is it just me, or was it very Trumpish?
Yeah, he's definitely on that band. He's on that wagon. He's been on there for a while.
Your homes, you know, that was very Trumpish. Very.
He's one step from the Hitler quote of "they're poisoning the blood of America" and all that stuff. Trump.
Okay. Also, I guess I don't know. Libs of TikTok said school is closed tomorrow because illegals will be sleeping in the school's gym. This is disgraceful. New York City is prioritizing illegals over their own Americans. So people are mad as hell. They're mad as hell.
Yeah, and it's maybe it's just I don't have that mindset that I find it really hard to think that people are really upset about it. I just think they want something to, they want the fake outrage, because my kids get off school and somebody's sleeping in their gym for one night. Neither my kids are upset and I'm not upset.
You know,
to be this out, you know, it seems like a lot of fake outrage, a lot of tribalism as far as like we need to toe this you know, this line. I mean, some of the people in the chat, you know, the guy saying the colleges are too busy teaching what a woman is total bullshit. He can't prove it if we ask him to. Find one class, you know, they act like that's all they're teaching in college. It's a ridiculous statement, but that is the world we live in today.
It's very important. It's very important. Genitalia. It's very important.
You know, I'm going to say something that it's in this line. You know why we Latin Americans call United States citizens? Well, in Spanish, the name we use is estadounidense or United Station. We don't call you Americans because for us, Americans is all of us from Canada down to Argentina and Caribbean. But we also use another term which can be utilized in many various ways. One of them is derogatory, but it's the term we call you that we call many gringo. But there's a difference. We know how to see a gringo from a U.S. citizen. We know the difference, and the difference is that when that person shows to us that they have been outside the borders of their country and they have lived with us, they have broken bread with us, they understand our history, they have taken their time to learn the history of outside the United States and in relation to the United States, in particular in this hemisphere. Then
I love this line right here. This is very Marvel. This is very this is Marvel Comics right here. This is very The Matrix. Louis Conyer says people are suffering economically and it's going to get worse. When shit is bad, you actually see the true face of humanity. And we saw it with Cannoli County.
And what I will say is people don't even know in this country what bad is. It's only a little worse than it was. And you know, and he's making a prediction that we don't know if that's true or not. We don't know if things are you can feel like it's going to get bad. It might not get worse. It might get better. You never know. It's a good prediction though. But yeah, I mean, but he's right. In general, he's right. When people start to suffer, or you know, in real poverty, you may see. Well, there's two things you can see. You can see people come together, like during a hurricane, when you know. Also, I don't talk to my neighbors, and suddenly they're bringing a generator over to help me to my water. You know, you can see the good out of people, or you can see the bad. It just depends. You know, it really depends. But it's not necessarily always going to be bad.
You're so hopeful. You're hopeful. Like, you know, saying. Shout out to Angel Jackson Quinones. We are very glad that you love your wife and your daughter so much. I don't know if you scrolled upon the right stream, but we appreciate that you love your family. YouTube Press coming through with, yeah, why close schools? Why didn't they close one of the many NFL, NBA, or MLB facilities in New York for the day instead of a school? My friend.
Because that school
James, let me say this real quick. On that real quick, what they could have done was utilize some of the churches. But but you had said something a little bit earlier, James, that I wanted to, it was segueing into a thought I was having. You mentioned the manipulators, but in order for that to occur, what they're doing is they are taking advantage of the ingenuity of those people. That's what they're manipulating. Though the people that come from there have learned how to build something from nothing. Ingenuity. Now, I personally know it because when I was a older teen and I didn't have the tools to fix my car, I actually made my own tools because they were only sold by Snap-on, and I couldn't get a hold of those. So I understand how someone can take your ingenuity and profit from it. So it's not just physical labor that they're looking for. They want their ingenuity, and they will take their ingenuity and incorporate it into their own businesses. I remember being in California once and driving down the highway, and I had wondered about the farm workers. And I remember driving past this gigantic farm at 5 a.m. and saw all those people out there working. I was astounded, but I've never seen a farm that green before. So they're utilizing those people's skill sets in the ingenuity way and manipulating them that way. But in the same token, trying to indoctrinate them to be workers instead of the producers they are.
What do you really, let's stay on that for a minute. When you say producers, workers, right? Do you, in your mind, do you think that these migrants are automatically producers? I mean, in this country, we have the haves, the have-nots, the have less. Some people are born and raised to be worker bees. Do you think that these migrants are coming over here and it's like, no, they could all be entrepreneurs and CEOs and America is making them workers? Is that what you're saying?
You're kind of halfway on it. What I'm saying is that as producers, meaning they didn't have a job, so they had to make ends meet and make things happen. And they understand the market, buy and sell, whether it's manual labor or whether it's ideas, whether it's fixed services, fixing something. That's what I mean by a producer, but they get paid directly. They don't need a paycheck. Their money doesn't have to come through a company. It comes directly through the person that they are rendering their services and their ideals to. That's what I mean by producer. But when they come here, they're indoctrinated to get that paycheck through a business entity or a government entity.
Right. And my question is, isn't that the majority of the population, be they migrants or American citizens? I mean, they make a living, they feed their family. Isn't that what happens here too? Like, my question is, isn't a large part of the population going to be part of that demographic anyway?
I can't speak for, I can't speak valid. I can't verify for all Black people here. That I won't. But for other nationalities, I've seen it in them.
If I may just add something real quickly on that point. I think that we're confabulating two things. One is a specified ability or capability of doing a specific job. Someone goes into construction. They at least have to know how to handle the tools that they are going to be dealt with. It's extremely different from somebody who works in a more intellectual sense of providing customer service or providing I don't know, as an engineer, a more qualified type of work. So here's the thing. We know that the capitalist system, if not put on checks, on constant systematic checks, it will devolve into feudalism, into a form of feudalism, and into a form of exploitation, where the one that has more will always exploit the ones that have less. Fact of the matter is, when people are migrating, or we have to take into account three factors. It isn't just about the what we gain on it. The people we're moving out there, we're moving to a different new culture. We have to either assimilate or adapt, and assimilation is a crime for many various reasons. So we either learn to adapt or we learn to assimilate. And if we allow assimilation, we lose ourselves in that assimilation. But not only that, many of us that arrive there, we're alone. We don't have family. We don't have a system of support. We left it back home. So we leave that. What's the other alternative? Desperation. And when desperation kicks in, you take whatever you can.
This is true. Quite often, more so than not, liberal thinking and liberal behavior and the concept of fairness and so on and so forth, that goes out the door when survival is on the table. I mean, people become far more conservative far more willing to do whatever is necessary when they're desperate. When people's bellies are full and things are going great, great times often lead the way and open space for liberal thinking and the idea of democracy and so on and so forth. But human beings show who they really are when we're desperate. To the point to Louis Conyers' point, when shit hits the fan, motherfuckers stop being nice. There was a episode of The Twilight Zone that I love, and it showcased this happy, neighborhood and family, and everyone got together or whatever. Well, there was a report of a nuclear strike. Report of a nuclear strike, and the protagonist in the story, he was the only guy who thought of a bomb shelter. So he goes into the bomb shelter, and he built the bomb shelter just for him and his family. That really didn't bode too well with everyone else in the neighborhood. And they ended up, essentially rushing through and bombarding him and taking over the bomb shelter. But here's where the kicker is. The airstrike was I believe the nuclear strike was fake, or was a false alarm. So in that moment, everyone saw who everyone really was. And when we are in these situations, everything that you say you are or you aren't really comes to the forefront. And this is why self-righteous behavior, I look down on it, to be very honest with you. Self-righteous in a calm manner, when in good times you're self-righteous.
But there's something interesting on what you just said, and I want to just address it real quickly. On the moments of major desperation, yes, people can be cowards, can be backstabbing sons of so many other things. But there's something that is cultural also. In Latin America, when desperation hits, you'll see us drawing in together. Yes, there are some who will run. Some of them will be afraid. But most of us will come, stick together. Hoy por ti, mañana por mí. Today for you, tomorrow for me. That's a saying we have here. And it's not just in Costa Rica. You hear that throughout Mexico, all the way down to Argentina and in the Caribbean. Hoy por ti, mañana por mí. Today for you, tomorrow for me.
So let me jump into that, because Puerto Rico is the same thing. It is cultural. I can only speak on Latin people. Whoever wants to speak on their culture, race, ethnicity, Mars, wherever you come from, can speak on what you're used to. Puerto Rico is the same thing. Hoy pa mí, mañana pa ti, right? It's all very kumbaya. We're talking about dire straits and starvation. There's no hoy pa mí, mañana pa ti, because if my kids are hungry, fuck everybody, right? So, but I understand what you're saying. It is cultural. We are very inviting, right? We are very accommodating. We're very compassionate. But we're talking about dire straits. This is serious. Like what's going on with these migrants, this is serious. So I don't think that, in a case where, it's all hell's breaking loose, people are still going to have that attitude. I don't think so.
Well, listen, I want to say something to what Haran said. I don't mind having conservative thoughts. Listen, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. There's some merit to what the grievances are with the border and the many people coming over and how sustainable it is. My problem with the people that say they're conservative, is the xenophobic part of it. The not looking at all sides and why is this, there's a problem here. Just the problem is these people. They blame the poorest people. They don't blame what the real problems are. They just want to blame something. So they blame, and that's with this lady at the school just yelling because her kid's gonna miss a day of school. I mean,
you don't think
that's the most selfish thing ever.
Correct. No, Saint, but you don't think that that's the nature of humanity? When we look at, and I'm going to dumb the conversation down just a little bit. I'm going to dumb it down just a little bit. When you look at the red pill, when you look at the manosphere, what do? They sit up there and they blame women for all their woes, right? They don't look at, you know, my ass didn't get up. I didn't wash my ass. I didn't get a better job. I'm not financially stable to take in you know what I mean, a wife and these children, right? Humans are constantly pointing outward. That is what the fuck they do. Constantly. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Very, very, very rarely is there self accountability. It's always somebody else's fault. Your problem is, oh, life happens to you. These women don't want you, and these migrants are taking my jobs. And I think that's just the nature of human beings. That's what I think. And we've seen it run rampant on social media. We've seen it. So everybody else, oh my God, what they're doing. Oh my God.
So this is what we're talking about. People that are being exploited from people at the top, using those simple, you know, this is your solution to a way more complex part. I saw somebody in the chat saying we need to, you know, let's bring certain jobs back, as if there's a magic wand you can wave. These companies they're going to exploit. They want cheap labor. That's why they're not here. Unless we give them tax breaks, like we're bringing back the chips, manufacturing chips, because it's a national threat and we don't want China to get a hold of them. That's when you see jobs come back, when it's a national and the government gets involved. But a business is going to they're going to cut the fat. They're going to cut your rate. They're going to cut your retirement. They're going to cut your insurance. And then they're going to move because someone's willing to do it in some other country and be exploited for a lot cheaper than you're willing to be exploited.
I mean, they bring those people straight for they bring those human beings straight from plush lands that if it were not for militias and or gangs and things of that nature, they may be able to produce something with, right into a concrete jungle. Too many brick buildings up there. Nothing. I mean, you're in some places you're lucky to see a blade of grass. I mean, that right there is a culture shock. You know, it's shocking their system. And then, you know, then you got this woman out here yelling and so on and so forth. And like I said earlier, the churches should have opened up, you know, because they can provide.
Yeah.
You know, on the point that I was trying to make, on dire straits, the worst of humanity is shown. It within my own personal experience, and I do want to frame it that way, is I have seen all colors. I have seen something got lost in translation. Yo he visto todas las diferentes. I've seen all the different forms that can take. I have seen people go to the worst of the worst, as I've seen people go for the best of the best. It also relies a lot on something that's interesting. The biggest divide between here in America, for example, and I've seen that repeated in other areas, but a lot pronounced here, it has to do with our history, is that the United States is an individualist type of country, culture. United States has been injected with this idea of individuals. We, on the other hand, have been injected with the idea that is balanced. Yes, there are individuals, but there's also community. We both need each other, and we can't be separate. We coexist. The individual coexists with the community as the community requires of individuals and the reunion of those individuals to be a community.
Yeah, but it's unrealistic to think that Cannoli Karen is going to see those people as even human beings. She gives zero fucks. What she cares about is, you know, Tommy's not going to be in school tomorrow. That is what she cares about. Okay, was this a shot at me, Abby? Was this a shot at me, though? She said, I'm sure in Vegas and Louisiana, you have a backyard and space for a tiny house to help out. So here's the thing. I don't have an issue with Cannoli Karen yelling like a dumb bitch in the middle of the street at nighttime in the cold and the rain. I don't have an issue with her being mad. I said that before. I said that people like her are cowards because the people that she should be yelling at, she's not yelling at. That's what I think about people like that. I think she's a coward because she should be yelling at, hold on, she should be yelling at, okay, the person that organized that, the person that allowed that. That's what she should be yelling at. And then I'll be all for it. I'll be like, oh shit, she went down to the fucking office. She's about it. She's not playing. She went down to the school district. She down in front of the White House. She's throwing eggs at Biden. She's about it. And here's the thing: she has every right. She has every right to be pissed off. Yeah, Tommy's not gonna be in school. What am I gonna do with Tommy now? She has every right to be upset. But what I'm saying is, I'm calling it what she is. She's a fucking coward. She's a coward. It's easy to pick on people that she knows aren't gonna step out of that line and punch her head with. She knows that. So to me, that's bullying. You know that those people are afraid. They're cold. They don't know where they at. They're not in there. They just uprooted from their country, something they've known all their life. And she knows that. She's well aware that none of them aren't going to turn around and put her in a headlock. And that's a coward to me. When you take advantage of people like that, when you yell at, you're a coward. So I'm not saying that she shouldn't be upset. I'm saying she's a coward.
I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, but I was in Texas, Dallas. I was with two other friends. We were speaking Spanish. We were sitting in a restaurant. We were just chilling, and suddenly this individual comes out. I'm not going to specify gender; it doesn't really matter. Just this individual comes out and says, "We're in America. Talk English." The infamous line. So we all look at her, and I turn to one of my friends and I tell him first in Spanish, ¿sabes qué? Déjame yo la manejo, porque esta persona va a estar más perdida que la hija de los lloronas. I told him, let me handle it, because this person is more lost than the sons or daughters of the Llorona. So that person starts telling me, we're in America, speak English, etc. So I play dumb. I tell her, mira, mija, no te entiendo ni un coño. I don't get you what you're saying. What you're saying? I don't speak English.
Quick thing, real quick. This is where the racism of black people shows up. James says, I thought they hit the ground running when they reached the promised land. No, black people hit the fucking ground running when they came to the promised land, James. You got it incorrect. Now you see how fucked up that sounds? You see how fucked up that sounds? When someone says that, someone took a fucking black person and smashed their face on the ground when they hit the ground running, when they hit the soil. You see how fucked up that sounds? Anyway, go ahead, y'all.
Not only fucked up, it's just.
So go ahead. Did you have an ending to that?
What I wanted to say was that I think the whole plan was to cause outrage because New York City has lots of empty places where they could have housed these people. I mean, lots of them. Places that wouldn't have affected business the next day even. So I find this quite strange that out of all the places in New York City, someone did mention, I think it was Abby mentioned the Jacob Javits Center. That's ginormous if you've been there. Baseball fields, football fields. There's so many places they could have housed all these people comfortably overnight. It's bizarre that not only would they pick a school, which is going to interfere with education for the day or however long, but then to actually spend money on all that food that was going in there, all the pillows, all the bedding and things like that. When you have places that are set up with bedding, right?
Yeah.
And food. So it's weird to me.
I mean,
it's looking like they did it on purpose to me.
Well, I think there's a lot of speculating when it comes to that because I'm not sure how it is in New York. I don't know if the stadiums, you're talking about private and public. I don't know if it was easier to get into the gym at the school because it's a public school. And to answer the question about why not put people in NFL stadium, they do. I don't know where you've been, but when big natural disasters happen, they do put people in stadiums. That's what happened in the Superdome.
But I'm asking, why didn't they do? That's what I'm asking.
I'm talking about the people. What I'm saying is, I don't know if the crowd warranted a huge stadium. It might have been like 200 people. Well, then you're not going to open up a big stadium. Plus, I don't know if it's a public. I don't know if in New York those things are public or private. It may be. You know what I'm saying?
It's New York City. You mean to tell me that there was? I understand the whole public private. It's New York City. You mean to tell me whether it was 200 or 2,000, there was no other place
There may have been. I don't know, but I don't know.
That wouldn't have interfered with a school. I just find it bizarre. That's all. I just find it bizarre.
What would let me, in the story I was just saying in that sense, yeah, the lady starts going around and telling me, speak English, and I go, I don't speak English. I don't get you. What? And she started getting real frustrated. So she starts going in the usual tirade. This is America, land of the free, blah, 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 blah. So I just turned around to her, and in one moment, I asked her, excuse me, ma'am, can you please tell me when was the name American placed on a map? What year, what moment of history was the term American placed? She looks at me and she says, what? And I said, English, woman, do you speak it? Or do you want me to say it slower for you? She looks at me and I say to her, yes, I speak English. And I understand every single bit of idiocy that you just told me. You dumbass gringa. Get the hell out of my way. Get the hell out of there. Go chill out. I don't know what you do, but do it to chill out, because you represent exactly what we were talking on this table about. The xenophobic, racist idiots. And she looked at me with this face like...
Right. So Lily's commenting, she said these things are always to keep us at odds, fighting with each other. Yeah. Abby says, and Abby, of course you would. Abby says, if it was my kid's school, I'd be making a fucking stink too, until you need something. This is what we're talking about. This is how human beings are. You'd make a big stink until you're home, and it can happen. Here's what's very interesting about human beings. It can happen to you tomorrow. A plane could hit where you live. A plane can hit where hey, stranger things have happened. You can get in a car accident. Anything can happen to you. You could be in a wheelchair and someone's like, why the fuck we got to accommodate these people with a ramp? Somebody could make a big stink about something you need. And that's life is funny like that. So you'd make a big stink too. But trust me, if you're on planet Earth, you're going to need something that someone else is going to feel inconvenienced about. And then you have to remember that you'd be at a school yelling like a maniac at 9 o'clock at night at some people that don't even know what you're talking about. So we can all make a big stink, but just keep the same energy when you want something. Because trust me, if you're on this planet, you're going to need something, and someone else is going to make a big stink.
Another question regarding that stink. Why wouldn't you do the stink against Greg Abbott? Because it was Greg Abbott's actions which made the situation happen in New York. So why would you not openly say Greg Abbott has violated international law, has created the conditions for what has happened in New York, forcing the situation on schools? So here's the thing. Why wouldn't you turn and directly look at the one who's responsible for what has happened in New York?
Because I'll tell you why, and I'm not saying for Abby, I'm not saying this is her, because a lot of them don't even know who the fuck Greg Abbott is. They don't pay attention. So that's why. I do want to say that you're right on, Jen, that it's really funny how people are, because people that will complain about people getting welfare, the only reason they're upset is because they're not getting the welfare. Because as soon as the checks started going out and the PPP loans and all those things, boy, they were all happy to get that money. Or, I've seen people with means around here, the federal government buy a generator. This guy already has a generator. He's going to buy another generator. You know why? Because they're going to give him $800, $900 towards that generator. So it's kind of funny, like when you have access to the things that you complain about, you'll go out and grab it.
You're an idiot, but you were never a slave, James. You're a fucking moron, but you were never a slave.
And look at us at the 2-hour mark. Lily, can we hear you? Can you say something? Or your audio is completely dead? Can Lily hear us? Lily. Blink twice if you need us, Lily. Blink twice.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We miss
So
you.
can hear me, but I can't hear you all, and I can only hear you all through my other device, which has a delay. So I don't know if I'm cutting somebody off. I'm like reading lips.
No,
and
we
shit.
can hear you fine. Hear you
Man,
fine.
I never heard such things.
Louis Cognier says, all this at the end of the day, it's called the human condition. We are only as good as our comforts.
Yep.
That is so, I mean, we can end the stream on that. There's so much truth in that statement. And that goes for all of us. And I mean all of us. I don't care how liberal you are, I don't care how nice you are. I will take your head off for mine.
Absolutely.
I'll take your head off for mine. So
I don't disagree with you. I mean, that's true that if it comes down to starvation or even less, but there are different levels to it, right? And so at this level in this country, I won't say nobody. Many people aren't there. The people that are complaining aren't at that starvation level. And I see them driving around in, $50,000 pickup trucks around here all the time. So, and complaining about their station in life. So I get, like, you get to a certain level and, I'm starving and I see some apples laying somewhere and we're both starving, that we're going to probably fight over the apple. I get that. So I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
And I understand where Jess is coming
I don't
from.
fully understand. I just want to say something real quick. We're often debating. Did I freeze? Oh, I thought I froze. We're often debating here just the idea and concept of competition. So a lot of people love to stand on this hill about how it's unnecessary and blah blah. You shouldn't be in competition with yourself, blah 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 blah. But it's funny how everybody understands competition when we're in these fucking situations.
Right.
Everybody understands kill or be killed in these particular situations.
Right.
Just saying,
It's funny.
So
James Oko. Look, James Oko dislikes Black women so much that he struggled to give them a compliment. There's the only thing he could come up with. There's the only thing. No, I don't. I love Black women. They don't age as quick as others.
What type of shit is that? That's
the only thing you could come up with.
They don't?
Like, that was it.
So what? Like
not that my mom's Black or anything like that.
Dog?
Not they're strong and beautiful and smart and the most educated. Well, they age slower. I like them because they age slower.
I will put one more month's worth of pay to James Ogo that Black women age just as fast as everybody else age.
It depends.
Possible. We all live on this earth. We all age at the same rate.
Louis Cognier is saying, get these books before we get out of here. Get the two books, War is a Racket and The Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and also study the Banana Wars.
And I, if I may, I just wanted to close and with just what you said, I understand completely, but there's part of my cultural sense that says there's also that great possibility of many of us doing solidarity at the most dire straight moments. And I'm an atheist. I'm an outright atheist.
Join the club.
So am I. So is no saying.
One thing I am extremely sure is that dire straits always reveal what the individual is, but it also reveals what the group of individuals can be. And most of the times, that group of individuals become a safeguard for many.
Yeah, that's fair. I watched The Walking Dead. You're right. You're right. There will be a group that will come together. Of course, absolutely.
I mean, you're right in the sense that, there's some shitty humans out there.
Yeah. We would stick together, but I'm gonna get the apple from Saint.
I'll just cut it. I'm the one who He likes to cut it in 4 pieces and then gives 1 piece to as many people as I can.
And we need you to. And we need you to. Thank you
But
for
I mean,
being that person.
I know we got to get out of here, but let's just listen. There have been people in dire situations that were starving that actually do share their food, especially if they're all in the same position.
Of course.
You know, that they so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was remember them guys that crashed in the plane.
Yeah, I saw that movie. You saw that movie? The recent? Did you see the recent one?
The Chilenos.
The Chilean, the rugby.
I started watching it. I started watching it last night, but then I fell asleep, so I'll finish it tonight. But were they eating ass too, like the other ones?
I met one of them. I met one of them in Chile.
There was a plane crash where they was eating like the butts of the people because they were
eating everything. Yeah.
They were eating everything.
Yeah.
And I met one of them, and I went to one of his conferences. He was speaking in Chile, and he said, the moment we had to eat somebody, we came to the realization that was a sacrifice that needed to be made because we needed to live. But that person who died, we needed to consume him in the most. He told me, when I was eating someone else, I was crying.
And honestly, I just think shit like that.
Abby, what's the matter with you? Let me find out you a stone cold bitch. Like you gonna get it bad because the energy you putting out, that shit gonna come right back to you. What is Mama? What's the matter with you? If the migrants complain of the fear of the Karens to the powers that be, maybe they will think before they suddenly move them without stop it, because you're gonna need some shit one day. I promise you, you're gonna need some shit. Stop being mean. Stop being mean, Abby. Thank you for the super chat. Fahim Jackson says people don't care about their kid missing school. They are mad. They're struggling and mad about an immigrant getting help, especially free help. They're using schools as a way to mask their disdain. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Because if that bitch was in Beverly Hills rich, she'd be like, oh, what are the poor people doing over there in Brooklyn, New York? You're absolutely right.
Look,
that lady's mad about something, and it wasn't that school.
Quick thing before I get out of here.
I hear you, Abby. It's all good.
Quick thing before I get out of here. We're always consuming someone. That's the way of the jungle, man. For every job and every opportunity that you got in life, you pretty much put someone else out of a situation. And that person could have been unemployed or haven't eaten in months, maybe years. You know what I mean? But you didn't give a fuck. Why? Because you survived. And rightfully so. It's not your fucking fault. That's just the way of the jungle. It just so happens that those people that the gentleman just spoke about, in the literal sense, they had to consume someone in order to survive.
Right now, everybody here, everybody in the chat, everybody on the panel, well, the majority, I would say, I would never eat no ass. I ain't eating nobody's ass. I'm not eating nothing. And then you're up there in the mountains, cold, starving, and I'm just saying.
You're gonna eat that ass.
Hey, it's gonna be like the cartoon where I look over and I see a little piece of chicken sitting there steaming. I'm gonna be looking at her and like, I'm waiting for you to die because I'm eating that.
Look, man, you don't know what you'll do under certain circumstances.
I know I would.
You know what I mean?
All right, everyone, I do have to step off, but I do thank you so much. Hopefully, in the future, we can have in-depth conversations.
Thank you for coming in.
You know what? I know.
Is there a delay?
Probably.
Louis Kanye. Bad. Louis Kanye. That's right. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody who came up and shared. This is a hard conversation to have, I know, because people have strong feelings about it. I'm just saying, listen, man, think about somebody other than you. Even when you don't think you have what you think you deserve, there are people that are a lot worse off. And it doesn't kill you to be a nice person. I did something nice for somebody the other day. Haran, you know what it was. And I'm not wealthy. Okay. It's just, you have to like, you know what I'm saying?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be very frank with you. She's a lot nicer than me. Sometimes she tells me to be nice to people. What makes the fuck out of here?
I'm just saying. Be nice.
She's right, man. Sometimes, man, the universe
It's not karma. Abby, I'm not whimsy like that. Like, ooh, karma. I don't believe in karma. I believe in energy wholeheartedly. Energy, that shit is real. I'm not one of them whimsical people. Ooh, karma is gonna get you. It's just energy. The universe is a mirror. It has no feelings. The universe it has no feelings. Whatever you put out, you get back. It just reflects. It's not even karma. I don't believe in karma. Karma's like, oh, karma's gonna get you. No, it just reflects. It's energy. But good luck to you and everybody else. All right, we are out of here. We will see you mañana. I know, 2 hours, right, dude? I'm trying to do 1 hour, and this ended up being 2 hours. Damn it. Bye, Black Lexicon. Thank you. And good night, everybody. Be good, and we will see you mañana. Thank you, Louis Kanye, for recommending those books. Always, always the scholar on the block. Good night, guys. Be good. Or be careful.